Well, hello guys. Just got done watching Monday Night Raw and saw the controversial ending to the Seth Rollins-Dean Ambrose WWE title match, which is quite clearly a setup to split up the world titles for the Raw SmackDown brand split. That's clearly what they're going for here by doing what they did tonight. So they'll probably address that tomorrow night on SmackDown Live. It's a good hook, shall we say, to get people even more interested in watching tomorrow night's show. They explain the rules of the draft, and looks like tomorrow night's going to be very interesting as far as executing the draft and seeing who goes where and what ultimately happens. If you want to see something fun that I did on Sunday, check out a video that Delixman has on his channel. I participated with him in a very fun project that he put together. Mock draft session that we both did, where we got to participate in our own version of the WWE draft and draft the guys that we wanted and create our own shows from the rosters that we had assembled. So some fantasy booking went into that and some other things. It was a very creative and fun thing to do. So the link is down below, and I was happy to be part of it. And thanks again to Delixman for inviting me on and coming to do that thing. It was really a lot of fun. So yeah, again, I'm sure you've probably seen it. Because if you're subscribed to me, you're probably subscribed to him. But just in case, I've got a link down below in the description. Check it out. It was a lot of fun. What do I want out of tomorrow's draft, and how do I want the brand split to go? Well, they're already splitting up the titles, which is one thing I don't want them to do, but I knew that was coming anyway, so I'd already prepared for that. But, God, having one world champion, it was fun while it lasted. But anyway, yeah, one thing that I really am hoping for as far as the brand split goes, and it's already been confirmed that Raw's getting a Cruiserweight division, which I've said it before, WWE has never done a Cruiserweight division well, but maybe with Triple H guiding it, and maybe after building some goodwill with the Cruiserweight Classic, maybe they can get it off to a good starting point, and maybe they can make something out of it for a change. So here's hoping. It'll be interesting to see how it turns out and see what they're able to do with it. But yeah, one thing that I really am hoping for, and I know I've mentioned this before, but with Shane McMahon running SmackDown from a kayfabe standpoint, I'm kind of hoping that they use him as kind of the focal point for change, and kind of use it, because his whole character is just grounded in, I want to change things, I want to take the company in a new direction, I want to create a new, fresh, and exciting show, yada yada yada, and his character hasn't really been able to do that because he's been working with Stephanie the whole time, and they're just butting heads the whole time, and Raw is pretty much exactly the same as it was before. So now that he's going to be broken away from that, and he's going to be running SmackDown exclusively, I think that'll be the chance to kind of make SmackDown a different and more experimental show where they can try new things as far as the setups in the arenas and the camera angles and various other things. Because one thing that really bugs me about WWE programming now is that all of the shows look the same, and that's if you look at every Raw looks exactly the same, no matter what town they're in, no matter what venue they're in. All the Raws look the same. All the SmackDowns look the same. All the NXTs, except when on rare occasions when they venture out of Full Sail, or I remember when they did those shows with the Arnold Classic, and the venue looked vastly different from anything that NXT had ever been in before, and that gave it a nice little breath of fresh air. And there was, the place, it allowed the venues to have their own character, and for the shows to look different from week to week, so it doesn't feel like I'm just getting the same kind of assembly line production over and over and over again. And I'm kind of hoping they kind of do something like that with SmackDown and kind of make it a more experimental thing. I've even suggested using that as the show that has the NXT style booking, where they kind of slow things down, focus more on squash matches and promos, and then build up to the big matches, and then deliver great payoffs when it comes time to do those big matches. I don't know if the NXT style of booking will work for a 2-hour show. I think that might be overstretching it, but again, we'll see. There's things to try, and basically give SmackDown its own identity from Raw, beyond just being the Blue Show, basically, and let it get away from some of the WWE tropes, and see if, Raw's going to be Raw no matter what. Doesn't matter who's in charge. It doesn't matter what authority figures they pick. They could put Mick Foley there if they want, but it's going to look like Raw forever and ever until the end of time, unless something completely crazy happens and we get a bunch of changes overnight. But with SmackDown, I think, it's getting a new position on Tuesday nights. It's going to go live. It's time to freshen things up, and I think they can use it as kind of a vehicle for, like I said, experimentation and trying new things and seeing if they can really reinvigorate that brand. Because really, I keep going back to it. Once Undertaker took the title from CM Punk, I mean, that pretty much killed any and all interest I had in SmackDown, and that was 7 years ago. So, and the fact that they killed the brand split and it just went to being Raw Junior, that didn't help any. So, so that's really what I'm hoping for with the brand split. Just hoping that that SmackDown becomes like I said, like this more experimental type of show, and they actually do try different things with it. As for who I hope ends up on what brand, really the only thing I'm hoping for, if they're really not going to turn Roman Reigns heel, and that's not something that they want to do, I hope Cena and Reigns are stuck on the same show. So I don't have to watch the show that they're on. Because with all the content and everything, and Raw and SmackDown getting their own pay-per-views, I mean, it's going to be hard to keep up on all the WWE programming. So if I don't have to watch one of the shows, I mean, that would make it easier on me. So put Reigns and Cena on one show and have them just rule everything, and it's like, oh, well, I know I'm not going to like that one. The cruelest thing they could do would be to to put Cena and Reigns on different shows and have them both win the world titles. That would be insanely vile and cruel to do that, but meh. So yeah, those are basically my feelings on the draft. Hopefully it's a really fun show tomorrow night. It will be very interesting to see how everything plays out. I wanted to do a video talking about last week's shows, from NXT to Lucha Underground to the Cruiserweight Classic and a bunch of other things. Didn't really get a chance to do that, so I guess I'll just do it here. Just brief feelings. I think the Cruiserweight Classic is a really fun show. I really like the format of it. Again, it looks different stylistically from a bunch of other WWE programs. And the matches themselves were pretty much what you would expect. It's high-flying action and fast-paced action and pure athletics, but presented in this really great way where you get like the analysis of a Mauro Ranallo and a Daniel Bryan, who are a really good commentary team, I thought they were very good. And, them providing backstories and context to who these guys are and introducing them to the audience, and kind of just letting the stories play out in the ring, and really it was just a good, solid show, and I really liked it. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of the tournament and more of these guys. NXT last week had the big Finn Balor versus Nakamura match. I thought it was very good. Again, not as good as Nakamura versus Zayn, but I think that might be an unfair comparison, because Nakamura versus Zayn was one of the most insanely good matches this year. So, but yeah, I thought the match was very good and worthy of the hype. It was a takeover worthy match that we got on a regular episode of NXT, which was really cool. And we've got some matches lined up for next week too, which should be a lot of fun. So yeah, NXT still going strong. We got some good stuff there. Ultima Lucha Part 2 was very cool. I thought the Gift of the Gods match was actually pretty well done, and I like that it came down to Sexy Star, Marty the Moth, and Mariposa, because they're the ones with the big storyline, and Sexy Star ultimately won the title, which was kind of a surprise, but a nice little payoff to her season, and because of all the characters this season, she's one of the ones that's gotten a lot of focus, what with her feud with Marty and Mariposa, and that amazing No Mas match that she had with Mariposa. So it's nice to get that kind of payoff to this. And again, it was just a really fun elimination match. I thought Nightclaw was really impressive in his debut. Killshot was cool as always. So overall, just a really entertaining match. And then you got the death match between Mil Muertes and King Cuerno, which was very cool. Where they just beat the crap out of each other the whole time, and Mil just went beast mode and just destroyed Cuerno in the closing minutes of the match. It got a little brutal there towards the end. The crowbar shot, and slamming him through like 3 or 4 tables in a row, and it got nasty there. It kind of reminded me of that bit from The Simpsons. Stop! He's already dead. So yeah, Ultima Lucha is still going strong. We got the 2-part finale coming Wednesday night, and I can't wait. I think it's going to be great. You got Prince Puma versus Rey Mysterio. You've got the trios titles, Mundo, Jack Evans, and PJ Black versus Drago, Aerostar, and Phoenix. I think that match is going to be very good. You've got Pentagon versus Matanza for the Lucha Underground title, which they set up beautifully on part 2 with Vampiro putting his meds in the garbage and saying he needs to get his pupil ready for Matanza. I was like, that was a nice, again, very well executed moment for Lucha Underground, which also had a great cliffhanger with Dario Cueto and Joey Ryan and his name's escaped, Cortez. Yeah, and that whole cliffhanger that they did there, another one of those great cinematic scenes that Lucha Underground is famous for at this point. So yeah, Wednesday night was a great show for wrestling. It's going to be a great night for wrestling this week too, because you got Cruiserweight Classic, you got more NXT, and you've got the 2-hour finale of Lucha Underground, which will definitely get the bulk of my attention this week, because that's just, I mean, it's the 2-part finale. I gotta watch it. I thought last week's episode of TNA was solid for the most part. Not great, but they did, one of my complaints about how they handle the X Division now is just an excuse to do multi-man spot fests. But they did manage, even though they did do another multi-man spot fest, they did manage to build up DJZ at least a little bit. The Eddie Edwards-Lashley match I thought was pretty good, even with the screwy ending, which they explained with Mike Bennett wanting to ruin Destination X, and he brought Moose with him to do that. And Moose coming out was actually a nice surprise. We'd all heard he'd been signed by TNA, but I didn't know they'd do his debut then. So that was actually kind of a nice surprise, and it set up Lashley versus Edwards in a steel cage match this week on the first Thursday night Impact on Pop TV. So overall, again, not a bad show. And as far as a follow-up from the final deletion, you got Matt Hardy being Matt Hardy, and it's great. It's hysterical. I love him. I'm sorry. I never thought I'd be this interested in Matt Hardy in 2016, but I'm like, he's playing this wacko character to the hilt, and it's just, it's so silly and so ridiculous that it kind of works. It's really great. I kind of like it. I didn't get a chance to talk about this either, but last week's Raw did the Compound segment with the Wyatts and the New Day, which was clearly inspired by the final... It was a reaction to the final deletion. It was like, oh, WWE saw the final deletion and thought, man, we can do something like that. And they did it, and it just kind of felt like they were living in the shadow of the final deletion. It didn't really do anything that... it didn't really matter as much, because to its credit, the final deletion did have a story, it had characters with motivation, and it had an ending with consequences, whereas this the New Day Wyatt stuff didn't really have that. It just didn't... you could have removed that from the feud, and the feud probably still would have played out the exact same way. And we're going to get a regular 6-man tag at the pay-per-view, so it just kind of feels... It feels like it didn't really do anything for the feud beyond just having WWE produce a really kind of, produce a segment that they're not usually known for producing. That said, the one thing that the segment did that I thought was kind of cool was when you see Wyatt, you see his feet walking across the field, and then all of a sudden you see Xavier Woods' body just thump on the ground. I thought that was a cool, horror movie type moment. And I think they were definitely going more for serious here than the final deletion which was played more for goofiness and over the topness and for laughs. This seemed to be more trying to be in the realm of horror movies and trying to take itself more seriously. But it just didn't. It just felt like a response to the final deletion, and that's really all it was. But I mean, I'm not saying it was terrible. I'm just saying it's clear what WWE was doing there, and it just didn't have that same creative spark to it that the final deletion did. And I feel like I've already given it more attention than it deserves, quite honestly. But that really wraps up most of the shows from last week that I didn't really get to talk about. But later this week, I'm definitely gonna have a review for Ultima Lucha Night 3. That's definitely gonna come, so that'll probably be the next video I do. And I'm also gonna do a preview for WWE Battleground, which is happening this Sunday, and I am attending that show, so I won't have an immediate reaction video after the show, mainly because my first day at my new job happens the next morning. And, you know, I live in Germantown. The show's in D.C., so that's about 40 minutes away. At this point, I might as well just get a hotel room in D.C. and just stay overnight and then just go to Crystal City at my new job the next morning. But basically, my point is I'm not going to have enough time to really post a reaction video of the show. But there will be a review of Battleground. I'll try and have it up, if not Monday, definitely Tuesday. I can definitely get that done. So, but yeah, I'm attending Battleground. Hopefully it's fun. The card, I mean, you got the Shield triple threat, which is cool. You've got, Zayn versus Owens, which is cool. Some of the matches feel like Raw matches, but you know, that's Raw's fault for having so many goddamn tag. How many matches on this week's show were like combinations of feuds put together to make a tag match? I felt like they did that, like they had like 3 or 4 of them on this show. It was nuts. But I mean, the 12-man tag was kind of cool, but it wasn't like if you watch as much Raw as I do, because fuck, what else am I going to do on a Monday night when football season isn't in session? But yeah, you kind of get desensitized to that type of stuff. It's like, oh, they're combining all these guys together to make a tag match. And I'm like, yeah, they do that every week, so who cares? Again, one of the things that SmackDown should probably strive for, because NXT definitely does that, because NXT rarely ever does matches like that. So when they do it, it feels really cool, because you don't see it all the time. And sometimes holding back is a good thing. You hold back, and then the things you do that are a little bit outside the box feel a little bit more special. Whereas Raw just kind of keeps just doing the same things, repeatedly. But yeah, that's really all I have for you in this video. Tune in to SmackDown tomorrow night. It should be a really fun show, and hopefully both Raw and SmackDown turn out to be really good shows once the draft is all said and done. I'm really interested in seeing which 6 NXT guys get called up. Obviously, Finn Balor is going to be one of them. That's a given. But again, we shall see. It'll be very, very interesting. But that is all I have for you guys now. And y'all enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you all later.